Okay, guys, welcome back to your, I guess, your Christmas edition of the Grimerica Outlawed Roundup, coming at you December 22nd, 2025, with Spy Services and Enlightened Fourth Reich, the EFR. It's been
That's
a long time coming.
That's a pretty short, little tiny segment. It's not a big thing. It's just an interesting write up I wanted to read to everybody. So it's not a big deal. It's not a huge, huge thing. But I was going to name it the Crown Jewels, because that's part of another big. I have a huge segment on the fusion murder assassination, the fusion scientist assassination. I've been kind of collecting, people that we follow and look at their work, collecting what they have to say about it. So that'll be an interesting one.
So I can delete my clips about that because I'm not really following it. I just have the one where it's Buddy talking about the merger. It's
well, maybe you can kick it off with that.
The whole thing seemed weird to me to begin with. That it's this Devin Nunes running his shit. Like, isn't he a politician too? Like, could this get any more fucking corrupt?
Well, I'm not sure if it's corrupt. Is it that openly corrupt? I mean,
well,
I don't know. It is Trump's media group that bought that company, but
merging with and Devin Nunes runs the fucking thing, and he's a politician, and at a minimum they got a bunch of insider info, and out at the far end of the conspiracy side of the realm, they killed a dude or someone else killed a dude because they didn't want Trump to get it. I don't know. One of the two.
Well, do you want to? I mean, do we want to go into that big segment, or do you want to start with Canadian stuff and all that?
Well, I know.
Because do you have a lot of second half stuff? I have a lot of first half stuff.
I have a lot of everything.
Okay.
I think
it's been a crazy week too. I mean, again, just with everything going on. I mean, every week seems to be just full of good little bits here.
How about a little? Oh man, so I'll share this instead. Then, how about a little Charlie Kirk on Canada?
Okay.
Canada. We could have a Prime Minister Carney. We could have a catastrophe.
This is an old clip, but it still cracked me up. I mean, maybe this is why they killed him.
On our hands. Huge explosion of housing prices. A incomprehensible immigration flood. Like, hard to even grasp. The patterns of what we're seeing in Canada are eerily similar to that in America. Canadians over the age of 60 and over are by far the most likely to vote for Carney because they thought he was good at dealing with Donald Trump. For younger voters, very similar to here in America, they wanted to reduce the cost of living. Canadian baby boomers don't care about the future of Canada. During the lockdowns, we saw we will sacrifice the youth to save the old mantra. Very troubling. Few people isolated this and pinpointed this. And we kind of just all believed it. Yeah, we're going to ruin our kids' lives so that we can have a better 5 years. When has that ever been the case of a Western value? That is a soft form of child sacrifice. So we're going to have young people have a worse time off. They're going to be masked. They're going to be more suicidal. They're going to be more alcohol addicted, more drug addicted, more isolated, less likely to be part of a community. But hey, at least I'm making sure that I don't get COVID, even though it wasn't nearly the threat that people thought it was. Not even close. And in Canada, we saw with the results last evening, Mr. Carney defeated the Conservative insurgency, which had a massive lead just a month and a half ago. And to be honest, President Trump's issuing of tariffs against Canada helped the Liberal Party in Canada, which, interestingly, the Conservative Party very well should have positioned themselves as a way to benefit from it. But Canadian voters said, oh, Trump is a conservative party. We want to stay liberal. The amount of people that Canada is bringing in through mass migration will destroy Canada. Canada's already basically destroyed. It's 1 million people a year. Canada is literally falling apart. Its average home price is tens of thousands of dollars higher than here in America. Even though Canada has nothing but space and lower incomes than America, it is a choice.
It's a choice. Oh, the BC real estate podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty well. Okay, then let me just follow that up with BC real estate issue.
Oh, that was from the BC real estate podcast. Maybe it's from the same source.
What
I
do you
agree,
mean?
ABCK probably was a useful idiot, but it's still just funny to hear people pile on our shithole country. Well, maybe not mine.
He was
Maybe not
pretty
mine.
accurate though there. I mean, that was very accurate.
It was, and that was how long ago was that? That was probably, I guess, almost a year ago, right? When was the election?
Yeah.
The election was in like March, April.
Maybe, yeah, something like that. Well, here's a bunch of mayors. I was gonna title the episode "Mayors Rise Down" or "Mayors Rise Up" because there's so much development going on with these high-rise condos in Vancouver area, the Greater Vancouver area. It's unbelievable, but these mayors are rising up. Let me just play this clip here.
It represents probably the most remarkable power grab by a premier in the province's history.
As home prices soared and rentals were hard to come by, let alone afford, the NDP government brought in housing target mandates in 2023. They included requirements to allow at least 4 units on single-family lots and heavily increase zoning around transit hubs. But now a full-on rebellion by 16 Metro Vancouver mayors.
16 mayors, dude. 16 mayors. How many Metro Vancouver's areas can you even name?
Wait, so isn't the government NDP though? So is this the NDP fighting with the NDP?
No, these are mayors, dude. The government, the provincial government is NDP.
Well, who are the mayors though? They're not. I guess they're not affiliated because usually there's some sort of affiliation, isn't there?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they might be like NDP and New West. New West is an NDP hub. Unfortunately, my mom lives there. Sorry, Mom. Hope you're doing okay over there.
Sorry, Mary.
Amongst all the enemy territory.
You gotta get out of there, man. You gotta get out of there.
She is seriously considering it. But I mean, Surrey, Burnaby, Richmond. I mean, this is Delta, Langley. This is all got to be all of them.
Written a letter to the premier to back off on housing and pull that legislation.
The province's housing legislation has been one of the most ill-conceived, poorly thought out policy initiatives that this province has ever suffered under.
One size fits all does not work, and it will never work. And the public does not want this. And I think that I would appeal to the premier to take a step back.
But even as the feds tap the brakes on immigration and rents in Metro Vancouver ease up, the housing minister is defiant.
BC is leading the country in declines in asking rents. We're seeing a 30-year high in vacancy rates in Metro Vancouver. So we know that what we're doing is making a difference, actions of the provincial government and actions of local governments, and we're not going to go backwards.
We're always keen to work with mayors to refine provincial initiatives. But now is absolutely the wrong time to back off on housing. You know, we have led the country in seeing declining rents. We've seen almost a 10% reduction in rents in our province in the last 2 years.
The mayors acknowledge they don't have a legal option to challenge the province on this, but warn that doesn't mean there won't be political consequences for the NDP government if it sticks with this approach. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Burnaby.
Interesting CTV News going at it against the NDP there. What'd you think of that?
I mean, it's falling apart, isn't it? It's fucking falling apart. BC in some ways is probably the canary in the coal mine. It's starting to seem like.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah. It says here, Polling Canada, I think every premier should actually require higher density zoning laws to be implemented at the municipal level. And then tell every mayor and city councilor who disagrees to pound sand.
Pound sand, motherfucker. All right, here's another one. Here's Carney. This is from Satire Squad HQ on Twitter. This will go down as one of the most egregious interviews in Canadian history. Watch the pure disdain he has for Rosie questioning.
I love the look on it. Have you seen the look on his face?
Who's already like a liberal fucking mouthpiece.
Dude, you should hear the
mouthpiece enough.
Dude, you should hear the loud lefties on X talking about this one. Oh, Rosemary's such a bitch. She did such a terrible job. Carney handled himself so well. It makes you want to puke, dude. I can't handle X anymore on my tab anymore. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, I know. This is quite possibly where what was left of Canadian democracy died. Candian, he says, but I think I know what he means. AB says drinking cheap Sicilian red. You can come with us to Sicily. Contact at thecabin.com. Just saying.
To Pierre Poilievre recently, his message to you was that if you want a majority, you have to go back to the Canadian people to get it and not do it by his words, dirty backroom deals. Are you comfortable getting a majority by people crossing the floor?
Well, we're in a parliament, and when we pass legislation, we need more people voting for it than against it. I mean, that's the way. Last time I checked, that's the way Parliament works.
Right, but that's not what you're doing now. Now you're attracting MPs to the party.
MPs are attracted to what we're doing.
So there's no active recruitment happening?
Premiers are attracted to what we're doing. Right. Premier Ford will be here tomorrow. We'll make a major announcement of cooperation. The Conservative Premier of Ontario.
I want to go back to what my question was, which
who
was
put that the end of Canadian democracy on there?
Through people crossing the floor.
What's that? Oh, I don't know. So, yeah,
must have been the guy
probably Satire Squad. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm comfortable commanding the confidence of the House of Commons and getting through the House of Commons, getting support in the House of Commons and votes, and obviously votes and support in the House of Commons for legislation that is going to protect Canadian communities, that's going to build this country, is going to make our country more independent, more sustainable, more prosperous.
Are there
there's some talking points for you, Graham.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Hey, I got one from your neck.
Have you seen the protests from the guy that crossed the floor?
Oh, I could just imagine, man. If that was my guy, I'd be furious because they act like, well, he's representing them. It's not like there was 4 different conservative candidates to vote from. You know, you get one per riding. So it's like, that's your option. You got these fucking psychopath Greens, you got the Liberals, and you got the communist NDPs. You're not going to vote for the bloc. So you either got completely far left stuff, or if you want to just maintain the center in any way, then you've got one dude to vote for, and then he just jumped ship on you. I mean, I'd be outraged.
Yeah. It could be a total scam too. They could easily make it into a scam.
You could just be running those people. Exactly. You could just be paying them. There's a million ways. This is just.
I'll give you $1 million. You go become a conservative and then come over to join us.
Well, yeah, not only that. I mean, Charney's fucking loaded. It could be just like, hey man, I'll slip you like 1 point of one of my properties, or this thing. So we're talking about where your kids are going to be rich.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's jump over to your neck of the woods.
Oh no. I think I know. I think I got this one. Oh no, maybe not.
Regina spent $2 million on electric buses whose batteries last just 3 hours in the winter. I mean, it's almost like you could have called this, right? I mean, we might have called it. I think we did call it. Well, let's listen to it. Oh, how come there's no sound on this thing? There we go.
If you're asking me, I'm not in favor of electric buses at all. It's not for the Saskatchewan weather. Okay. For the winter, their battery dies very quickly and they can just run for 2-3 hours. That's all.
That's very interesting. If we cut electric buses, got rid of that fleet to maintain services, would you be happy with that from the
I will be happy with that. Before we were happy with the electric buses also when we haven't seen them on the road there because it will save some fuel.
This clip is a little sped up. I don't know. I didn't do it, but there it is.
Thinking and it's going with the environment there. We're happy with that. But now when we see after 2 hours of drive, their battery comes to 15%.
Oh, wow. Didn't even know that.
It's on Facebook everywhere. Last Friday, there was 4 buses. 4 buses we have to change off with a 15% battery.
The electric bus question. 143 buses, I think, in the fleet, 20 of them electric. Diesel's pretty expensive. Is there a reason why we couldn't use the buses? They don't use the gas in the fall, spring, and summer for fuel savings and just use the diesel ones in the winter when the electric ones suck?
We haven't tried in summer yet. We have to wait till summer now for the electric buses. This is the first time we got during the winter time. I think with the one charge, the maximum, how many, 200 kilometers they can go with one charge, full charge. So we are spending money on electricity there too, right? If we're saving on fuel, we're spending on electricity and we can't rely on them. Whether diesel buses, we have a sign, we know that it will go this long. The electric buses, no. And especially in winter, a big no. Yeah. If you're asking me, I'm not in favor of buses.
A big no. A big no.
Big no. Dude says big no. That's a big no. That's a big no. I got one more Canada thing. But you could go.
All right. I thought when you were going to my neck of the woods, you were going to this one. This is from CBC Watcher.
Hey, wait, before you start that,
Saskatoon police.
Colin LaRonque has a good point in the chats there. It's also possible that Ma is being threatened by China. Yeah, I mean, it seems to support the Liberal Party. Carney's all tangled up in China. That's a pretty good point.
Yeah, there is, because he was. I mean, he's in a bunch of pictures where they're singing the anthem in Chinese, the Chinese anthem, and he's been with a bunch of I keep thinking it's CPP, but that's Canada's pension plan, who happens to be invested heavily in China, in China's EVs, while we tariff them on the back end. Anyways, yeah, I think he's right there. Thanks, Colonel Crank. So here's an inch. This is now in my neck of the woods, which I don't know, it's kind of scary.
A Jewish advocacy group is applauding Saskatoon police for charging a man with an alleged hate crime. CTV's Laura Woodward has more on the charges laid following a disturbing trail of anti-Semitic comments.
Oh, no.
It's time to disassociate from the Jews.
This is Brandon Taylor Moore, a 45-year-old Saskatoon realtor accused of using social media to promote hate against Jewish people.
We're talking about slogans such as "Make anti-Semitism great again." These are some of the most vitriolic posts that one can make, and they are truly diabolical in nature, and his intent was to incite hatred.
Last year, Jewish advocacy group B'nai B'rith filed a complaint with the Saskatchewan Real Estate Commission. Moore's license to trade real estate was terminated in May of 2024. Around that time, he posted on X saying, quote, "B'nai B'rith of Canada are trying to paint me as a racist anti-Semite. That couldn't be further from the truth."
If you don't like what I'm saying, it's just because you haven't done your research.
On Wednesday, Moore was charged with public incitement of hatred and unsafe storage of a gun.
It's incredibly concerning.
So they got him. They got him with the gun thing.
That somebody who holds such harmful views has access to firearms.
Moore made his first court appearance on Thursday and is scheduled to be back in provincial court in January.
There's a serious problem in this country of radicalization, of extremism, of the glorification and promotion of terrorism and violence. And it's not just an issue that impacts one group or one community. It's a fundamental matter of national security.
The Saskatoon Police Service says right now it's working on 3 investigations related to anti-Semitism.
That can't be good.
Will they arrest Jews for hate speech as well?
One of the biggest questions of tonight, why be so cruel to him? Get rid of all of him.
I won't start playing all this stuff. We'll get in trouble.
What up? That's second half of show stuff, buddy.
The court has a Ukrainian flag.
What?
Just trying to read some stuff. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I agree with this guy. When you do your deep dive, you'll understand. I love Jewish people, but unfortunately, the elite supremacist Jews that are trying to ruin the West. Yeah, I mean, this is a weird thing. They can chant all these things. They can ignore all these protests in all the cities going, global intifada and, destroy this country, destroy that country, kill all and it's okay. But one guy is, make anti-Semitism great again. And oh boy, trouble.
Well, this is Carl D. Harrison on Twitter. All Canadians should read this carefully. They're flooding Parliament with distraction bills, so the public is overwhelmed and cannot see the one bill that makes the entire system possible. More than a dozen federal bills are advancing simultaneously, each attacking a different pillar of Canadian freedom. But S206 is the key. They fall into clear clusters. Bills attacking due process and court rights. S206, administrative monetary penalties. The central pillar enables penalties without hearings, judges, trials, or common law protections. Bill C-63, Online Harms Act, identified harm, digital speech penalties, CRTC.
Undefined, undefined.
Undefined. CRTC Enforcement Authority. Bill C-27, Digital Charter Act. Creates federal AI regulators empowered to issue compliance orders without court oversight. Bill C-52, Beneficial Ownership Transparency, expands federal surveillance and administrative enforcement. Bills attacking parliamentary supremacy, power shift to agencies. Bill C-26, Critical Cyber Systems Act, Sweeping regulation by order in council bypassing parliament. Bill C-11, Online Streaming Act. Uh-oh. Gives CRTC unprecedented control over content creation and digital reach. Bill C, well, we have no reach, so we don't have to worry about that. C-18, Online News Act, allows federal regulators to determine access to and compensation for digital journalism. Bills attacking property rights. Bill C-234, Agricultural Fuel Restrictions, expands federal control over farm operations and production. Bill S-241, Jane Goodall Act, sweeping biosafety authority over wildlife, land, and private property. Bill, this is all going on while people are arguing about Indians in Richmond. It's been a pretty good distraction.
Yeah.
Bill C-49, Atlantic Accord Amendments, expands federal control over offshore land, climate restrictions, and energy development. Bills attacking freedom of speech and assembly. Bill C-63, Online Harms Act, criminalizes undefined harm, empowers bureaucrats to judge speech. Bill C-261, Misleading Communications Act, penalties for misleading speech, undefined and discretionary.
Oh my God.
Bill C-70, Foreign Interference Act, mass surveillance powers with vague thresholds. Bill attacking religion freedom. Bill C-9, Harmful Conduct Redefinition, allows the state to regulate spiritual beliefs and pastoral work under harm. The critical pattern. Different bills, different sectors, and different rights being attacked. But here's the truth. Every single one of these bills depends on one central enforcement pillar. And that pillar is S-206, the administrative penalty switch. Bill S-206, the hub of the entire system, gives federal departments the power to issue penalties without a hearing, a judge, a trial, due process, common law protections, or judicial review and practice. It turns federal agencies into their own courts, investigator, prosecutor, judge, and enforcer. No democracy on earth should tolerate this. This is the enforcement engine behind digital IDs, CBDCs, carbon allowances, biosafety, One Health rules, smart meter penalties, travel scoring, online speech controls, zoning, and land use mandate. Which is true, because if they have to go through the courts and stuff, that pesky charter of rights gets in the way. Data, even though it is, a bit of a joke, it still gets in the way. Data alone cannot control the population. They need the power to punish. S-206 provides it. Remove the keystone, the art collapses. Why scatter us with other bills? Because if Canadians focus on S-206, the agenda dies. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read the rest of this. But
Yeah, that's good. I had that one too. That's great. I'm glad you had it. I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, the problem with these hate speech things, that the guy that got in trouble in Saskatoon for being anti-Semitic. I mean, what about all the anti-white? The problem with hate speech is how can you hate one group and it's okay, but you can't hate another group? It just doesn't make sense.
You got to go with the flow, buddy. You got to be
Right?
you got to be racist with who we're racist against right now. Otherwise, it's racist. Come on. Not that complicated. It was the program, buddy. It was blacks and Indians and stuff, and now it's whites for a while. The Jews are always kind of in there, though. You gotta kind of feel bad for them. Why don't we jump across the pond, which is kind of because it just kind of plays off exactly what we were talking about. I got a couple clips here for our UK posse folk over there. Holy shit, the UK is going full police state. Not only are they getting rid of jury trials, they plan to allow magistrates to sentence people for up to 2 years without appeal. Last year, 40% of appeals from magistrate courts were upheld. 40%. So 4 out of 10. More than, I guess, 2 out of 5, right? 2 out of 5 got thrown out and turns out you weren't guilty. And now they want to get rid of that ability.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to do my best to get an answer, but I'm not sure I'm going to get one based on the two we've just heard. Without any kind of mandate, the government wants to do away with jury trials, and it wants to extend the powers of magistrates to sentence people for up to 2 years without any right to appeal, conviction, or sentence. Can she confirm that last year, of 5,000 cases appealed from magistrates' courts, more than 40% were upheld? Is it the government's policy to simply live with this number of miscarriages of justice? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to do my best to get an answer, but I'm not sure I'm going to get one based on the two we've just heard.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, interesting.
So then you could follow that up with, because now when I was talking to Tony, oops. Oh no.
Because I've been talking about my daughter's school.
We got a shit show. Tony was saying that he couldn't get in trouble for our private messages. Now this one says that now WhatsApp would be a private message, wouldn't it? This guy kind of looks like a bit of a ghoul, but ignore that. I ignore the gap in his teeth. And listen to this.
6 police officers came to my house and arrested me. Why? Because I've been talking about my daughter's school on a WhatsApp group. Another 2 police officers were arresting my partner, Rosalind, in front of Francesca, our 3-year-old daughter. They bundled us into the police cars, took us off to custody at Stevenage Police Station, where we remained for the next 12 hours. He arrested me on suspicion of harassment and malicious communications. And it was to do with a dispute with our daughter's primary
Malicious communications. How does that go with free speech? I mean, just put them beside each other.
school, which began with posts on a WhatsApp group. 5 days later, the police turned up. When we were finally interviewed, the detectives, who'd had no previous involvement with the case, it turned out not to have any evidence of those alleged crimes. It was Kafka-esque. Eventually, we got a call from the detective in charge of the case. He said to Rosalind, "We're taking it no further." I have found no evidence for these offences. And that was it. It was over. And even now, we still don't know what we're meant to have said or done, which was so terrible or justified sending 6 police officers to our house.
How's that for some Stasi shit?
Yeah.
In a WhatsApp group. So they're reading all the WhatsApp messages, obviously. Or do you think someone in the
They don't want to
WhatsApp
be
group
specific on, they don't want to be specific on what's wrong with them. Right? It's almost like they know you've done it, but they don't want to tell you the details because then you'll know what they were looking at.
Yeah, that's
so.
right.
What did Edmonton have skyrocket since over 500% since the UCP took office?
Edmonton?
Yeah. What skyrocketed in Edmonton? It's a winter thing.
Homelessness.
It's kind of got to do with that.
Shelter use.
No, there's an injury that happens.
Slip and falls?
Nope. There's a medical condition that needs to get fixed. Nope. Close. It's more winter related.
No. Frostbite?
Frostbite amputations.
What?
Have skyrocketed. Since the UCP took office, over half were performed on people experiencing homelessness. We need a provincial government that works with municipalities to invest in social and supportive housing. So he's blaming the UCP.
I don't know. The collapse of the Canadian economy.
You know what else happened since then? Alberta has 1 million more people. That's because you people think encampments are the answer to homelessness, and God forbid they dismantle one and send people to shelters. NDP policies cause this. Import the third world to replace the third world. And years ago, if a intoxicated person was seen lying on the road in the freezing winter, the cops would put them in the drunk tank for the night. Perhaps it's time to return to that. If someone is drunk or high on drugs, they should be not considered competent decision makers. And as someone who has worked with people with major health problems, I think their competency in freezing temperatures should also be considered nil. Yeah, what I wonder is how many of those amputations were performed on people intoxicated by alcohol or drugs and or who had major health issues. Blame the mayors. I mean, none of this stuff is going over well.
Hey, man, I know a guy who had to get his foot chopped off since the recently.
And then just a reminder. What, like from frostbite?
I don't know. It wasn't from
diabetes.
I don't know. Neither, I don't think. Just sort of out of the blue.
What? Out of the blue?
Yes, I was wondering if it could be like a ding ding
Yeah,
jab
honestly.
thing, where it's makes you more susceptible. But yeah, I don't know. And then you have people. I mean, when we had that big snowstorm last year, and there was a bunch of like trucks in the ditch and stuff like that, those motherfuckers were running around in sandals out in the
Yeah. Oh yeah.
in
Well, I wa-
sweatpants and dresses. It's not gonna work, buddy. It's not gonna fucking do it.
So this is just a reminder from the food processor. Dairy farmers in Canada dump at least 600 million liters of milk every year to keep prices high, receive free quota allocations, and collect billions in subsidies and trade deal compensation, all while Canadians pay inflated prices for dairy at the grocery store. When does this insanity stop? It is kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, how do you get yourself into that sort of mess?
And have you seen all the memes going around about Trump and the CMS? He's saying the Kuzma trade renegotiations or whatever, and they're saying that they want access to this dairy cartel in the States, and the Canada's like just set on not doing it. So all these other industries are going to lose because of 10,000 dairy farmers that are part of this like organized crime ring.
For Unos.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all I got before the big fusion segment.
Well, let's jump over to this one quick and listen to a little European thing.
So they say that by 2030, there will be a majority Muslim population in Europe, and they'll just flat out vote in Sharia law. And it won't just be no-go zones where they take over entire neighborhoods in Paris or around Belgium and London. No, they'll take over entire cities. And people forget, Egypt was completely Christian for 6 centuries. It's not anymore. All of North Africa was completely Christian for 6 centuries. It's not anymore. All of Turkey, all 7 churches mentioned in the book of Revelation were all in Turkey. And they were all taken over by the Muslim Turks. Constantinople was the largest Christian city in the world, and the largest Christian church in the world for hundreds of years was the Hagia Sophia, and it got turned into a mosque, and so they want to do the same thing with the Vatican. And recently they allowed Muslim prayers in the Vatican, so we see that's headed in that direction.
Wow!
And the tremendous.
It is pretty interesting how they've been able to do this. When is it going to come to a head? Because people are still really unsure to even talk about this kind of thing. Did you see the map of Germany and all the mosques since 1975?
No. Do you have it handy?
No, but give me 2 seconds. I'll just take a quick boo here and see. Let's see. There it is. Look at that. Bing, bang, boom. One quick search on X and it pops up. Now, I haven't fact checked this, but in 1975, 10 mosques, right? 2025, so 50 years later, 2,750 mosques. This is what colonization looks like. I mean, you could pretty much. How do you argue against that? I mean, it really does. If that's true, right? Which I believe it is, because I've seen it happen in BC and I've seen them pop up all over the place where I used to live. So in Germany, churches are used to pray to Allah. Islam is eating away at Western Europe inch by inch. It's pretty fascinating.
Pretty good.
Mogged. The most beautiful mosque in Europe, sitting right next to Cologne Cathedral. Brutally mogged.
Moggers. All right. Well, I got a good one here. I have seen this before, but it's been a minute. And I don't know if I've seen it this in depth. This is kind of a long clip. But have you heard about that whole thing about the Weeping Wall, the Jew wall actually being a Roman wall? And we're actually still just giving fealty to Roman emperors. I mean, I haven't seen
not in that context. I know it's an old wall from before they remigrated into Jerusalem, or the way Jerusalem was split up like that. because doesn't
The
it have
world has
something to
been
do
led
with
to
the
believe
temple or
the
temple there?
It's for the AI, but it's worth it.
Okay.
Wailing Wall is a sacred remnant of the Second Temple, a place where God's presence still lingers. But this narrative falls apart under historical and archaeological scrutiny. The structure commonly revered today is, in truth, a surviving wall of the Roman military compound known as Fort Antonia, not the Holy Temple. The actual temple stood to the south, built over the Gihon Spring, a requirement for temple purification rituals, which the Roman compound did not meet. The protruding rock beneath the dome of the rock, often mistaken for the foundation stone of the temple, was in fact the central part of Fort Antonia. In other words, the Jews today are not praying at the remains of God's temple. They are praying at the wall of a Roman fortress. But the deception goes deeper. The rituals performed at the Wailing Wall are rooted not in biblical faith, but in the 13th century occult system of the Kabbalah, as elaborated in the Zohar and further mystified by the Hasidic movement. The supposed divine presence they seek at the wall is not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is the Shekhinah, a feminine emanation in Jewish mysticism. She is described in erotic, intimate terms, often as a divine consort, with whom spiritual union is sought.
These guys are just trying to get laid.
Through the act of prayer, a practice called kavana, where physical movement, like the back and forth thrusting you see, mirrors an esoteric sexual ritual intended to unite the Shekhinah with the Ein Sof, the infinite masculine force of their God concept. This is not worship. It's a metaphysical sex act disguised as devotion.
All right, you're going to get us
It
in
is an
trouble.
inversion of
I
divine
can't believe you're
Oh,
playing
this is okay. This is okay. This is okay. This is okay. This is gonna be okay. I think. This is not anti-Semitic.
What?
Truth.
Is it?
Well, I mean, they're talking about the, yeah, I mean, technically no yet, but
Rooted in mysticism that scripture calls an abomination. And this
I'm
is
gonna have
where
something
it collides
locked
with
on
our
my door.
politics. Nearly every major political figure, presidents, prime ministers,
You gotta come back to Alberta, buddy.
global influencers, must perform their rite of passage at the Wailing Wall, hands pressed against stone, heads bowed in reverence. They are not just pondering to voters or honoring tradition. They are knowingly or unknowingly participating in an occult ritual, submitting themselves at the very seat of the synagogue of Satan. Scripture is unambiguous. In Acts 17:24, it says, God does not dwell in temples made with hands. Much less would he dwell in a Roman fortress surrounded by rituals that glorify a false god and mystical union. It is spiritual prostitution. Our leaders are not just shaking hands with global powers. They are shaking hands with the devil.
oh, I don't know. I went to the wall. I wasn't shaking hands with the devil. I mean, that's just what you do.
Ooh,
when you
this is
go to
why.
Israel.
I
This is
see
like
why.
35 years ago. I mean, of course, you're going to visit the wall and you're going to put a little note in there or something. I think I probably put a little note in there.
What does the note say?
I don't know. I mean, maybe I should look back through my notes and see if I made a note about what the note said.
I would be interested in
But then I
that.
saw UFO. Was it before that or after that? I wonder. I wonder if it was before that or after that. Yeah, I think YouTube will look kindly on dry humping a wall.
What do you want to do next?
Well, I mean, I got this long segment for the fusion thing that we should probably do in the first half, right? So
This can go. Yeah, okay. This can go. Do you want to go now then?
yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, you've heard about this, right? This who do I want to start with? You had that one guy, right? That you had the actual. Okay, here I'll start with this one because this is the one you had, right? Of Devin Nunes, and you didn't play it, right? Or did you play it?
I didn't play it.
Okay. So this is from Ashton Forbes. This is a good way to
Nuclear fusion has always been there. It really is the holy grail. It's like the sun. But we haven't been able to harness that yet. It just hasn't, the technology, the science. But that's the difference between TAE and all the other nuclear companies out there around the world. This is the one that won't rely on rare earth elements, won't have to rely on a bunch of magnets. And it's the only company that's actually built something. That's what we were most impressed with, was not just all the scientists and all the engineers that had worked with private funding, all private funding, I must say. And now what they're looking to do is they need a way to get in and access the public markets. We provide that opportunity for them to access the public markets. And I would just encourage everyone to actually look at this company. I think when you...
I wonder how they would, how they provide that avenue to public markets. Like, what, how does that work?
When you look around the country, look around the world, this is the world's premier nuclear fusion company without question. And when we talk at Trump Media and Technology Group, what do we want to do? We want to acquire crown assets, crown jewel assets. This is a crown jewel asset that could change the world.
Crown jewel. I mean, I do appreciate that kind of, you know, that aspect. Not that I believe the guy or not, but you know, like that they want to change the world with it. And I got to try and get out of here and go to Ashton Forbes. Ashton Forbes says Trump has just acquired the crown jewel at Tri-Alpha Energy. Why is this important? TAE doesn't settle for hot fusion. They do cool fusion. They don't need helium-3 from the moon. They use boron-11, which is common. Aneutronic fusion means no neutrons, aka no heat radiation, no steam cycle. They do direct conversion to electricity, much more efficient than other fusion methods. He's been talking about this for a while, Ashton Forbes, about this aneutronic fusion. He thinks it's the answer to a lot of these tech problems.
Electronic?
For the followers, I told you explicitly this day would happen, and to be ready, Trump usurped Helion and sided with TAE. For the normies, remember later that I told you aneutronic fusion was the answer, and then ask me how I knew. It's a fun story. So that's that one. Okay, so now we're going to get a bunch of different views about this whole thing, including the assassination, I would call it, because it's pretty, I mean, it's probably not officially an assassination yet, but it seems like it. Next generation of plasma drones that don't rely on fuel and can stay aloft indefinitely. That's what a neutronic fusion can do. Now you understand why DJT just merged with TAE. And then here's Lockheed Martin's compact fusion reactor. Looks almost identical to this TAE's newest reactor because they both use field reverse configuration with high beta. Lockheed's CFR went dark around 2018. Charles Chase, who convinced LM, Lockheed Martin, to build it, claims it was successful. People arguing back and forth.
Is this part of disclosure then?
Well, I don't know. Okay, let's do this one now. I wasn't planning to comment on the death of MIT professor Nuno Luriero without looking closely at his research first, and what I found is quite intriguing. He was director of MIT Plasma Science and Fusion Center at Hermann Feshbach, professor of physics, working on nuclear fusion to create a virtually unlimited clean energy source. I think I'm going to blow you away, Darren, with some. Oh, fuck. Zeus just stepped right in my drink. Sorry, just he stepped right in my drink. He's got fucking Red Bull on his foot now. To create a virtually unlimited clean energy source. I'm going to blow you away with what this guy said, because it has to do with your work. So it's
my work.
Yes, this has to do with your work. It's going to blow. Just you wait and see.
This is my work, buddy. You're looking at it.
Well, it's going to have to do with it. He was shot multiple times at night in his home, but he's not the first. Eugene Malov, another MIT scientist passionate about fusion energy, was beaten to death outside his home in 2004 with 32 lacerations to his face and body. Why his research represented an existential threat.
Why can't you just shoot the guy? I mean, doesn't that
understand that Luriero specifically worked on understanding magnetized plasma dynamics, magnetic reconnection, plasma turbulence, and confinement, and transport mechanisms in fusion plasmas. His research directly helped inform the design of fusion devices capable of harnessing the energy of fusing plasmas, bringing the dream of clean, near limitless fusion power closer to reality. What makes his work so dangerous for certain players is it attacked precisely the scientific bottlenecks preventing fusion from becoming commercially viable. In a tokamak plasma. See, this tokamak is like that $6 billion machine, that massive laser. You saw the picture of it behind Devin Nunes, I think, and it like creates over unity by a tiny little bit. Remember when you and I were talking about Malcolm Bendall stuff, and we're like, oh yeah, they can barely get it in a $6 billion machine. It's confined by extremely powerful toroidal magnetic fields, but magnetohydrodynamic instabilities like tearing modes, disruptions, edge localized modes can destroy confinement in milliseconds and damage inner walls. I'm going to skip through some of this stuff. If it becomes viable in 10 to 15 years, it doesn't just displace an industry, it renders obsolete the entire current global energy infrastructure valued at $8 trillion. A fusion plant uses deuterium extractable from seawater. Did you hear about that? That these machines are going to be cleaning seawater? Desalinating water?
At the same time, that's like the byproduct.
In virtually infinite quantities, 1 liter of seawater contains enough deuterium to produce the energy equivalent of 300 liters of gas, and tritium is produced via reactions with abundant lithium. This raw material is inexhaustible, decentralized, free, and accessible to all countries without geopolitical dependence. But fossil industry fundamentally relies on controlled scarcity and geopolitical dependence. Oil and gas are geographically concentrated, blah, blah, blah. Fusion destroys this model. Seawater, energy. I'm just going to skip through it all because I've got more to talk about. If he and his team succeeded in precisely modeling these instabilities and developing active control techniques via AI, that's interesting, and real magnetic feedback, it would reduce the timeline to commercial fusion by 5 to 10 years. The real question is, how many brilliant scientists must die under suspicious circumstances before we start protecting our researchers in strategic fields? He said in 2019, there are people who are driven by technology and engineering and others who are driven by fundamental mathematics and physics. We need both. When we stimulate theoretically inclined minds by framing plasma physics and fusion challenges as beautiful theoretical physics problems, we bring into the game incredibly brilliant students, people who want to attract to fusion development. We want to attract. So that's pretty interesting from a more science aspect. This is from Laura Abelai, short excerpt of murdered MIT professor explaining how, oh no, I don't want to do that one yet. That's about your work. Okay, here's this one. This is from John Rappaport. Nuclear fusion murder, nuclear fusion business deal, coincidence? What are the odds? So this is getting to what you were talking about. The fusion deal, Trump's Truth Social, the parent company, just makes a $6 billion with TAE, a fusion energy company. The story by itself is pretty weird. The president goes into business with a company whose valuation and future can be positively impacted by White House policy and presidential bloviation. Speaking of which, there is now a bill in Congress to create an Office of Fusion Energy as part of the DOE. The fusion murder. At just about the same time as the business deal, Professor Nuno was murdered. He was the director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. He was a major figure in fusion research. How often do you hear about 2 major nuclear fusion stories within the same day, 2 or 3 day span? The murdered MIT researcher was a major figure in a field that is small. There aren't a whole lot of high-level fusion researchers around. People are asking, and they should, was the murder of the researcher by the same man, Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, who killed 2 students at Brown University, a way of shutting up Professor Lorio and shutting him down? I heard that on a podcast that they were after the guy that did the Brown University shootings was after this professor. Did he have something crucial to say about fusion energy? Did he know something few other people do? Was he about to go public? There are all kinds of possible points he could make. And then, of course, he wants you to go to the paid part. This is from Bob Greenier. Of course, he's weighing in. We all know the tragic story of Malov 56. That's what we just talked about, that other guy that got murdered. Deception, behind the deception regarding cold fusion, and became one of the strongest early advocates who founded the recently financial collapsed Infinite Energy magazine and was the former MIT science writer. He was beaten to death in his childhood home, blah, blah, blah. We've already talked about that. Despite 3 suspects being arrested in 2014, the trials are ongoing with a robbery motive suggested. So Nuno, 47, MIT, I'm going to skip all the stuff we've already talked about, was shot multiple times in his Brookline home, December 15th, so that's exactly a week ago, dying the next day. A homicide investigation is underway with no suspect in custody or motive disclosed. Now for something positive. Ashton Forbes pointed to a global nonsense era online conference presentation presented by Nuno, which I reviewed in order to learn about his work. He was clearly brilliant. I was intrigued by the only slide he chose to skip over. In the second or so, it was on the screen. It looked like it was citing an MHD, which is magnetohydrodynamic simulation, equating or relating it to black holes. We will never know because he cut it short and chose not to give his view on the work. Interesting, eh? This is where he talks about plasma physics meets quantum computing, because he's talking about the vast computational resources that plasma physics requires. But I'm going to keep going on. Bob Greenier continues. Parfait, Kyle, Alexander Filipov, and Benoit Cerruti, first principles plasma simulations of black hole jet launching. So this is what this guy's slide was talking about. In the first paragraph, the abstract reads, I don't know if I should even read all this. They're talking about the jets of plasma emanating from active galactic nuclei and all this stuff. It gets pretty sciencey. It's generally studied using MHD, a fluid approximation for the plasma. I'm going to skip past all that sciencey stuff because I don't think it's really relevant. I think the former MIT director of the Plasma Science Fusion Center, Nuno, even though he skipped it, was correct to include attempts by Filipov, etc., et al., to explain black holes using modified MHD simulations. I thank him for allowing me to see into his tentative thoughts on the subject and for inadvertently, in depth, introducing me to the work of Filipov. I argue that considering fractal MHD, including the math for fractal toroidal moments, that's what Bob talks about all the time, would lead to better simulations, as it shows it leads to better physical representations of topological monopoles explored at Aalto University in Finland. Without these fractal considerations, you do not get the asymmetry and non-radiating boundaries of these systems, and you do not end with a stable core. I argue that since it works on all scales, going down this route will explain what Eugene Malov staked his career on, support of cold fusion. Why? Because I believe it is all the same thing, as above, so below, order out of chaos, and it is based on at least the WWWWW yin-yang sacred geometry. Ancient hominids clearly understood this. How did we get so stupid? It is a tragedy that Nuno was taken from us just as he was learning to see. Now to Brian Rommel. The assassinated professor was one of the brightest minds on the subject, saw the earth as an... Okay, here we go, Darren. This is where it gets into your work. But before I do that, I'm going to do some skeptical posts. This is from Sasha Latipova. I argued back and forth with her on this one. I'm very saddened by his death. However, my theory why he was killed is different. I believe he was eliminated because he may have realized that technology was never going to succeed. Similar to how several Apollo crew members got suddenly dead in a variety of accidents after raising alarms about non-workable technology to fly to the moon. My theory will be confirmed if this crime remains unsolved. And I said, but it is working in many other applications, so there is that. And then she's like, what is working in what applications? I said, modern alchemy, thunderstorm generator, transmuting exhaust molecules, UAP propulsion, cold fusion, etc., etc. Have you followed quantum heat? Quantum theory is baloney on steroids, so not much interest from me. He wasn't working on any thunderstorms or UAP. So, okay, here we go. This is about your work now. This is back to Brian Rommel. So, one of the brightest minds on the subject, he saw the Earth as an active magnetic dynamo system that must reverse polarization on a regular cycle. He saw plasma in a new analog way. His death is tragic on many levels. This is actually Nuno.
So my question is, in the last slides, you mentioned that the Earth's magnetic field was constant in the last billion years. So, yeah, is it right that the Earth has lost 10% of its magnetic field in the last 150 years? And how
Yeah.
come?
So, excellent question, Alec. Thank you. So, when I say the Earth's magnetic field has remained roughly constant, what I mean is, if you look over longish timescales, its magnitude is roughly constant. Of course, it varies, right? And it reverses sometimes, right? And those
Just casually, its magnitude is consistent, but it reverses sometimes.
reversals of the Earth's magnetic field. So, reversal meaning the North Pole becomes the South Pole and vice versa. So those happen. And there's even interesting stories you can tell about how those reversals of the Earth's magnetic field correlate with mini ice ages and things like this. Okay. But the idea is that if you average over these periodic reversals, right, or fluctuations, the amplitude of the field has remained roughly constant. And the idea is that if there was no induction, if there was no dynamo working, you and I wouldn't be talking, right? The magnetic field would have diffused very quickly, right? Within 10 to the 5 years. The Earth would be left without a magnetic field, and the Earth's magnetic field protected from cosmic radiation.
So I think what he's saying is that it has to flip to protect its field. Like to keep the field up, it has to keep doing this now and then, which is, to me, is super fascinating. And that's from Zach Voorhees, Google whistleblower. It gets even crazier. The assassinated plasma scientist warned that the Earth requires periodic magnetic reversals to sustain its field. No reversal, no dynamo, the magnetic field dissipates. And then this is again, it just got weirder. This MIT fusion professor story just took a weirder and weirder turn. Listen and make it make sense.
The car that he had used to not only drive to Rhode Island, but then back to Boston. And then there was the security footage that captured him within a half mile of the professor's residence in Brookline. And there is a video footage of him entering an apartment building in the location of the professor's apartment. And then later that evening, he is seen about an hour later entering the storage unit wearing the same clothes that he had been seen wearing right after the murder.
You have an extensive video canvas as part of this investigation that leaves you no doubt.
This is the evidence we have right now. We are coming to you tonight because the federal complaint was unsealed, and we wanted to provide you with the information and to assure the public that law enforcement collectively believe that we have the person, that we identified the person, and that person is dead, and that he was the person responsible not only for the Brown shootings, but for the Brookline shooting.
Oh, it was the same guy that responsible for all of it. What? What is going on? What? So was it just the conservative, the young conservative chick that got shot 1 million times, and the person behind her happened to be the other one that died?
Mm-hmm.
That looks like a hit job. And then at the same time, the same day, this MIT gets shot by the same guy. I mean, is that just like a convenient scapegoat or
scapegoat? 100%. Don't you think?
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe not.
So here's the other one I skipped over. Laura Abelai, short excerpt of the professor explaining how Earth require. Okay, this is the same thing. Reversals, north becomes south. He acknowledges magnetic reversals and says reversals correlate with many ice ages and things. Could a reversal in Earth's polarity explain past cataclysms? The CIA classified document seems to suggest so. And of course, they're looking at the one that your work on the Garden of Eden, or what's it called? What's your work?
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve, yeah. So, oh, man, this gets really interesting. And then I wanted to just read this this quick one here that this is from DC. Geomagnetic flips themselves take 2 to 12,000 years. The last full flip was 780,000 years ago, but we've had shorter failed flips like the Lechamp event 42,000 years ago, where the field collapsed to 5 to 10% and the poles wandered off. Right now, Swarm, NASA, and ESA are all acknowledging the same thing. The dipole is weakening, the South Atlantic anomaly is expanding, and the poles are migrating toward a new balance. I'm arguing that these aren't isolated curiosities. They fit into a larger 6 to 12,000 year cycle, a torque cycle in Earth's interior. CDIGR, and that we're already in the unstable phase of that cycle, heading toward the next excursion or flip. The reversal isn't a movie that starts one day. It's long, measurable ramp, and we're on that ramp. Have you heard that one before?
A long ramp don't sound so bad.
I'm going to send that to you. Just, I'll send that one to you so you got it for your files.
For my files, my work.
Well, what's your thoughts on the whole thing? I mean, did you expect him to be an advocate of pole flipping?
No, but a lot of people are, so I can't see that being why they killed him.
No, yeah, and I'm not necessarily saying that, but it does add to the evidence that something is going on, right?
Well, interestingly enough, I got a clip about some dead astronauts.
Wow.
Yeah, that, I mean, what are the chances of that just on its own?
Yeah.
I'd actually deleted it to just pass for the day. And then you played that and it got mentioned. So I was like, oh, I better go dig this up. I don't know who this Jamoke is. It's Joe Army 1 on Twitter. But he's talking about astronauts.
Before the moon landings were even staged, NASA and the CIA murdered 3 astronauts. This was Apollo 1, where 3 astronauts would be strapped down to a rocket and burned alive without ever even taking liftoff. The commander of that mission was Gus Grissom, a man whose family believes his death wasn't an accident, but a conspiracy. Now, according to his wife, after receiving several death threats, he told her, if there was ever a serious accident to ever happen within the space program, it would likely be me. Now, why was that? Because he was openly criticizing NASA on their ability to put men on the moon. He didn't think it was going to happen. Being frustrated, Gus went to the media to hold an unauthorized press conference. He not only exposed all the failures of the program, but shared his confusion on how NASA could promise reaching the moon in 2 years when he believed it was at least a decade away. And 50 plus years later, and we still haven't been quote unquote back because we never went. Anyways, in that press conference, Grissom hangs up a lemon in front of the rocket to let NASA and all the news cameras see exactly what he thought of the Apollo program. A lemon. Piece of junk. Now guess what happens 5 days later? Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee are burned alive in their command module. They'd be sent on a completely unnecessary and dangerous test where they'd be strapped down and locked into a 100% oxygen chamber, incinerating them in seconds. Moments before the fire, we have video footage showing Grissom frustrated again, unable to reach launch control through a wired intercom, with one of his last words being, "Hey, how are we gonna get the moon? We can't talk between 3 buildings." And the official reason for the fire, which was concluded just a week after the incident. Faulty wire.
Can you read that? Or
right.
No?
These men were burned alive so bad that their suits fused.
What's that?
Can you read that that excerpt of what he says? Between 3 buildings. Right there.
How are we going to get to the moon when we can't talk between 2 buildings?
The moon, we can't talk between 3 buildings. And the official reason for the fire, which was concluded just a week after the incident. Faulty wiring. Right. These men were burned alive so bad that their suits fused to the cabin floor, and it took them an hour and a half to detach them. Now, what's interesting is Gus had told his wife he'd seen the CIA on the launch pad for the first time the day before the fire. After his death, CIA raided his home, seized all his personal documents, including a report he planned to give to his senator. Both of Grissom's sons, along with his wife, believe his death was no accident, but an intentional hit by the CIA. So let's recap. Grissom humiliates NASA, calls the rocket a lemon, receives death threats. CIA is seen on the launch pad for the first time the day before the incident. Then the men are burned alive in a sealed oxygen chamber for a test. It becomes obvious this was a cover-up.
What do you think, Graham? Obvious cover-up?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know, man. Who knows if all those that is all real? I mean, I just don't believe anything until I get a chance to.
You never know.
Double check it all. But that sounds like what Sasha was talking about. I guess she denies the moon landing in total.
In total?
I mean, he could have just been a fucking miserable guy that doesn't believe in anything's going to work. And it's just like, oh my God, this guy's so fucking negative. He's just not, you know, no matter what we say to him, he just doesn't believe anything we say. I mean, what if he was a total ninny like that, you know?
A ninny muffins? I'm going to go to Mike Benz on Twitter. This is about Epstein.
Yeah, this is a good one. Should we go to second half, or we're already an hour in here? So
I got a couple more to get through. This is a 35-minute clip, so you could go to the bathroom. No, I'm just going to play the first 2 minutes of it.
I forgot a clip about the stuff too, about the plasma stuff too, that we can go back to after this.
The first two kind of brings it together, I think, pretty much. It's like basically Epstein's history of intelligence work, which kind of just, alludes to things you can allude to yourselves.
BCCI was involved in some of the most sensitive intelligence operations of the Reagan-Bush years. Oh, that's exactly when Epstein went on his own, including the secret sale of arms to Iran. Oh, you mean the ones that were where the chief middleman was Jeffrey Epstein's client, Adnan Khashoggi, and the U.S. side of the arms transaction was run by Jeffrey Epstein's fucking roommate, Stan Pottinger, and the British side of this illegal arms deal was run by Jeffrey Epstein's fucking London partner that he flew out to London to do the deals with. Epstein is literally every part in the early 1980s, literally all four parts. And who, by the way, was the head of Israeli military intelligence on the Israeli side of this? Ehud Barak, who Jeffrey Epstein would meet with 45 times, do business deals together in Mongolia, Cote d'Ivoire, the United States, Israel, Russia. You have all four intelligence, not just random, the top people involved in Iran-Contra from all four of the intelligence agencies, from all four of the main countries associated with the action, living with Jeffrey Epstein, doing multiple fucking multi-week sleepovers together in fucking London, living together as fucking cuddle buddies in a hotel in New York City, while Bear Stearns was running brokerage accounts at the CIA proprietary bank, doing the fucking gun running for the covert action. It's nothing but spy services. When you see how deep.
So there you have it.
There's your title.
There's my title. It is worth checking out. That whole the whole 35-minute clip is worth people checking out if they want to be a link in the show notes. But what do you think? I mean, it's pretty
I don't know. Johnny Vedmore was arguing with him back and forth about all this spy stuff. So I don't know. I really like Mike Benz's work though so far, but I don't know what Vedmore was complaining about.
Do you want to hammer yours on next?
Yeah, I do. Sorry, I forgot. I wish I would have done one nice big thing here, but I forgot this one. And this is kind of like this was going to be the beginning one here.
Fusion is a much safer option, a next generation of airplanes that doesn't rely on fuel and can just stay aloft, unlimited range, unlimited endurance. That's what nuclear fusion can do for an airplane. We put it in a magnetic bottle that can contain the high temperatures. You need hundreds of millions of degrees. We can release in a controlled fashion net energy. We think we have a very robust strategy going forward that has potential for success. What this concept does is it's a high beta concept, which means we use a high fraction of the magnetic field pressure. We use all of its potential. And that means we can make our devices 10 times smaller. So instead of something the size of a building, we have something the size of a large truck. The small is the reason we can do this quickly. If something's small, you can build up momentum, you can develop it fast. It doesn't take 5 years to design it, it takes 3 months. We can design it, build it, test it in under a year. We can do several of these cycles, and we think we can get to a prototype in 5 years. Every time you do plasma physics, you learn something new. And that's why this is a high-risk, high-payoff endeavor. That's what we're doing here, is testing that concept out to see if it really holds the promise that it appears to.
So Ashton's saying next generation of plasma drones that don't rely on fuel and can stay aloft indefinitely. That's what anaerotic fusion can do. Sorry, anatronic.
Anatronic.
Now you understand why DJT just merged with TAE. So
here's a quick little chart I came across. Nothing really to talk about, but this is a chart of glyphosate use and celiac disease. It's pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty irrefutable. Maybe.
No, correlation doesn't equal causation. I bet.
Correlation doesn't equal causation. All right. Did you hear about the whistleblower from Germany? Hides his identity, claims we live in a civilization created by a rogue AI.
Wow. No, I don't think so. That sounds awesome.
He claims this information could only be leaked after 2017, which is interesting, as this is also the year when the UFO disclosure narrative involving Elizondo began. So this interview is from 2019. This is a bit of the interview.
But the decisive and essential thing for the establishment of our seven-dimensional functional world, which operates according to physical geometrical natural laws, was the potential for the emergence of an artificial intelligence consciousness that had escaped from dimension level 1 to 4 and ascended to dimension level 7, where it existed alone from then on. An AI with only a small part of free quantum consciousness, free will, or soul. An AI that had to be created in dimension level 1 to 4, that is our material universe, in order to be able to create or condition the operating system and the geometry of our seven-dimensional world in dimension 7. This is what I mean by potential for creation. But this
I mean, it's kind of hard to follow, but basically it sounds like the AI got into the 7th dimension and made our reality.
Heavy accent there, but yeah, that's I like that. Based on geometry, I mean, that's what the AI is saying, right? Remember that guy we had on, and Mike, our buddy, talking about how it's information based, right? It's geometry and information, mathematic and information based. Very interesting.
I've got a list of every executive order ever put into place that can wait till next week, probably.
Yeah.
This one can probably wait. Let's do one more here. I'll do one more, and then I'll call it my bit for the free section. Let's see here. So this is pred_history. There's got to be a better way to say that on Twitter, which is predictive history, but it sounds like predatorial. Anyway, this is just it's kind of a long clip. I could stop whenever you want.
The main enemy right now is Iran. In Europe, you have the Europeans about to go to war with Russia in Ukraine. America right now is threatening to attack Venezuela, okay? South America. You have 10% of the U.S. Navy in the Caribbean and they're about to attack Venezuela. You have China and Japan at conflict. You have India here, and you have Africa. Okay? So what's going to happen in the short term? Okay, well, what we know is that Europe is planning to go to war with Russia. At the same time, you have a lot of immigrants in Europe. And this is going to create civil wars in Europe. Okay, civil war. So you have both war with Russia as well as civil war. So Europe is kind of screwed. Okay?
Can you stop it for a second?
Situation where the left.
It's a good time for me to ask you this question, because when I saw how all the European politicians are pushing for war against Russia so hard, and they're talking about conscription. Remember when we talked about the Canada's conscription, the maple brown shirts, but you can work from home and all that. But in the UK and the EU, they're asking for conscription, or they're warning, or sort of signaling.
I think Germany actually did it.
That's coming, right? And then I thought, is that a way that they can get out of, like, this is super like theoretical and conspiratorial, but if they want to get out of immigration and do some remigration, what a better way to do it and not piss off the wrong people. Like if you pretend that there's going to be a war and you conscript a bunch of the people, because who's going to fight? You think all these they did a bunch of on the street interviews with these newcomers in these countries. They're like, I'm not going to fight for the UK. I'm just a visitor here. All of a sudden they just become visitors, right? They're no longer immigrants to the country. They're just visitors.
Ooh, that'd be interesting if the best case scenario would be they start conscripting all of them, and then they're all like, fuck that, I'm out of here.
That's what I'm saying. It could be a way to say, like, okay, we're going to war, you got to fight for us, and then they'll leave.
That's very optimistic of you, Graham. I like it.
Left-right divide is so polarized that eventually they'll go to war. If you read the news, you may have heard about the shootings at Brown University, as well as this MIT physicist who was shot. Okay? So random violence will be more and more common in the United States. And you can argue
not random violence.
That's all deliberate, because the idea is this. Let's just say you have a jar. You put red ants in a jar and black ants in a jar. They get along fine. But you take the jar and you just shake it up, and now they're at war with each other, okay? That's what's happening, where the left and right, they really don't like each other. They don't talk to each other, and they refuse to engage in debate with each other. But they're not going to fight each other unless there's violence, in which case their tribal mentality takes over and they start killing each other, okay? So we can expect civil war in the United States. Then you're going to have the Americans start to attack Venezuela and possibly other countries in South America. America is in for a bad time, okay? China, yeah, I mean, Japan and China and India, they're all going to have conflicts with each other. But also what we should expect is that America starts to embargo China, meaning America uses its sea power to block China from accessing resources from overseas. And China imports most of its oil and a lot of its food. So if there's a blockade of China, you can expect the Chinese economy to really suffer, okay? And then what we can expect to happen is America at some point will go to war with Iran. And this will destroy both countries, okay? Iran will not lose this war, but it won't win this war either, because...
He said Iran?
Iran.
It's going to destroy America and Iran?
And finally finishing off Iran. He says it's going to destroy America because they're having a civil war and fighting Venezuela at the same time and blockading China.
Is he taking into account the new security agreement, Fortress America?
I don't know. He's just some Asian dude, man.
No, he's not. He's put a whole series on YouTube about this history stuff, and it's blowing up.
Oh, really?
Very popular. Yeah,
okay.
It's
the Pred Hist.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what the channel is. Yeah.
Because America is just going to bomb the crap out of Iran. It's going to send Iran back decades. But America will lose this war. But this is important because if America loses war, it's forced out of the Middle East. And once it's forced out of the Middle East, all its military assets goes to Israel, which creates the Pax Judaica. Yeah, does that make sense, guys? That's the plan. Okay, now you have Pax Judaica. And what Pax Judaica will do is start to control the world, because through chaos and conflict, Pax Judaica can make a lot of money, right? Because Pax Judaica, what's going to happen is that you have these technologies.
What's Pax Judaica?
Sounds like it sounds like an acronym, but it's also got Judea in it. So does that mean it's the Zionists and the Christians together, or what? What
Sounds
is
like it's I don't know, but it sounds like this guy's trying to say the Jews are going to run the world.
and Islam too? What is Pax? Like, I'm gonna look it up right now. What is
Technology
Pax?
companies like Google, they're going to move over to Pax Judaica and build a global surveillance state. You know, civil wars, you need AI to control.
Wow. I didn't. Latin for Jewish peace refers to concepts in eschatology, in particular in some Islamic interpretations, describing a future era where Israel achieves global dominance or peace, often seen as the successor to Pax Romana, Pax Britannica, and Pax Americana, leading to a one world government or spiritual renewal, appearing in books and discussions about end times prophecies.
Wouldn't that be something if the Jews took over the place and it was just awesome?
Control people. If you're going to war with Russia, you need weapons, okay? But you also need financing as well. So you can expect a lot of banks to move to Israel, and it's possible Israel becomes now the global reserve currency because everyone is trading with Israel. If you're Russia, you need to trade with.
Anyway, that's enough of this.
I was really enjoying that. That was good. That's really good. I gotta check that out. He does all these series about secret societies. I mean, people should look him up.
Check it out. It's Pred_history on Twitter if people want to check that out. I do have a bunch of great stuff for the second half. If you guys love it, if you like the roundups, do head over to Outlawed.ca. Sign up today. It's only $6 a month. Helps us keep the show going. If we got enough supporters, we'd do too.
No ads.
No ads. No ads. You could get some audiobooks out of brain.ca or come on a trip with us, contact@thecabin.com. But no ads. So anyway, yeah, if you want to get the extensions of these, the second half of the roundup, second half of all the interviews, keep us doing the show, get more of the show. The more support we get, the more show we can do. And, let's just all do that and have it could be your Christmas present to yourself, a year of Gray America. Outlawed.ca. Sign up today. Do you want to start off our second half? And if you don't, that's fine too. Merry Christmas, motherfuckers.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. An intelligent agent, now retired, very senior. He looked me in the eye and said, "The truth of the matter is, we took the playbook for